Hey, what's up, I'm a real person. I'm a real guy, and today I really want to show you this weird little Christmas special that no one else seems to know about. I want to try other video making styles, so I'm coming at you, trying to keep it real with you guys. I really want to do this. Okay. Let's check this out.
A Very Berry Christmas is a 2005 stop-motion Christmas special produced by Cup of Coffee Studios, a Canadian production company I've not really seen much else from, but they seem to have a lot under their belt. I saw this movie by chance as a kid on TV, and was never able to get it out of my head. The story follows Barry Buckley, a washed-up outback Australian tour guide who accidentally gets mixed up with Santa Claus.
Let me repeat this. This is a movie about Santa Claus accidentally switching places with an outback Australian tour guide. Did you ever think you'd hear that sentence in your life? I'm really excited to talk about this crazy special, so let's get into it.
We open at the North Pole where we meet Santa and Mrs. Claus going about their errands when the head elf Miss Holly Jolly comes to remind Santa to check his naughty or nice list.
Mr. Claus. Santa! It's the day before the night before Christmas, and you have yet to check your list twice.
I'm in such a good mood. Let's just forget about the naughty or nice list and make presents for everyone!
Presents for everyone?
And for Miss Holly Jolly's nervous laughter, we get a pretty good idea of this movie's tone right off the bat. It has a pretty neurotic edge for a Christmas special, but can be strangely endearing at times.
Another thing you'll probably notice early on are some of this film's strange animation techniques, most notably the mouth and eye animation. The humanoid character models in this movie are all sculpted without mouths. Instead, mouth animation is superimposed over the stop-motion footage in post. It works all right for the most part, but in certain shots it looks really weird. Honestly, it kind of reminds me of the Robot Chicken mouth animation, where cut-out mouth shapes are pasted over the action figures. That said, it's an interesting idea. Cup of Coffee Studios prides itself on mixing old-school techniques with new-age technology, and I'd be curious to see what else they've tried in the way of VFX. Anyway, Santa gives a speech to all his elves, and we're introduced to the best character in the movie. And I'm just going to let this introduction speak for itself.
Thank you. Now, as you all know, tomorrow night is Christmas Eve. And thanks to all your hard work, it's shaping up to be a
Santa! Santa! Look out! Nutmeg Reindeer is ready to fly.
Oh my god, I love her! Nutmeg is honestly one of the most endearing characters I think I've ever seen in a Christmas movie.
I guess you could describe Nutmeg as a Rudolph-like character in that she's the social outcast from the rest of the reindeer, but personality-wise, she's pretty different. Clumsy but earnest, yet slightly neurotic. Kind of like this movie. She is easily the best part of it. Just the chemistry she has with other characters and the way they play off each other, it's priceless. We cut quite abruptly to the Australian outback where we're introduced to Barry Buckley, a safari tour guide down on his luck.
G'day, mates. Barry Buckley's the name and Outback Adventure's the game.
He takes 2 guests on safari, but it doesn't go too well.
Now, on your left, you'll notice a genuine boomer. Female, I reckon. See how gracefully she navigates the rugged outback terrain? Oh, if you look right over there, you'll catch a rare glimpse of an adult male platypus. My mistake. This platypus is, in fact, a baby. A great big baby. Uh-oh, a croc. Now keep your distance, mate. This could get ugly. Feisty, isn't he? Now, fortunately, I know his weakness.
Barry? Stop it!
These are Barry's animal friends. Lily, a kickboxing kangaroo, Walter, a performative platypus, Nigel, a dim-witted crocodile, and Simon. They're a little annoying at times, but they got a couple laughs out of me here and there.
Mr. Buckley, you promised a wild animal safari, and these animals are clearly domesticated.
Hey, what's the 10-letter word for absurd?
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yep, that fits. Thanks, mate.
After an unsuccessful safari, Barry reveals his plan to turn his property into a year-round Christmas theme park, which just seems like the worst business model ever to me, but why not?
I've got a feeling business is about to explode.
Meanwhile, Nutmeg is trying out for the flying team by flying Santa around the world solo in just one night. And the animation here looks really cheap. I mean, this is straight up a basic motion tween. If you're gonna do that, I feel like you could at least match the frame rate with the stop motion. It looks really out of place. Anyway, while Barry fixes his lights on the roof, Nutmeg flies over Australia. One of the spotlights gets in her face and she nearly crashes into a plane, causing her to drop Santa by mistake, who falls down Barry's chimney. This startles Barry and causes him to slide off the roof, where he's caught and rebounded up into the air by a string of lights, and Nutmeg catches him, believing him to be Santa.
I don't think there's a funnier, more convoluted way you could have staged this mix-up. It's perfect.
Oh, hey, there's Mrs. Claus. Hi, Mrs. Claus. Nutmeg. Santa Claus was supposed to be at the press conference an hour ago. It appears there's been some sort of mix-up, and panicking isn't going to get us anywhere. Now, when I remove my hand, I want you to calmly tell me your name.
Nutmeg reindeer.
I really like how they utilize Mrs. Claus in this movie. Yes, she's Santa's wife, but she's also kind of his agent.
At this moment, I'm more concerned about Santa Claus.
Santa? I think he fell down my chimney.
Oh, thank goodness. Then he's fine. Now, we'll just phone your place and...
Actually, I don't have a...
No phone, of course. This sleigh is not going anywhere without some major repairs. In the meantime, I need a Santa, and you certainly look the part.
There's a running plot point where it's important that these reporters from around the world see Santa, because if they don't, the world might stop believing in him.
Nobody can find out about this. Not the elves, not the other reindeer, and certainly not the press. As far as anyone is concerned, Barry, you are Santa Claus.
I like that Santa is treated kinda like a political figurehead in this movie, with Mrs. Claus sort of pulling the strings, but this begs so many questions. Like, if the press come every year to see Santa, you'd think at some point they'd know definitively that he exists and wouldn't have to reassert that every year. That said, it's pretty funny.
Mrs. Claus, is he making a list?
Will he be checking it twice?
Back in the Outback, Santa wakes up and meets Barry's animal friends, who believe him to actually be Barry. They think he's lost his memory from falling down the chimney and try to remind him who they all are.
Oh yeah, that's Simon. He's not normal.
Don't you mean nocturnal?
No.
And yeah, it's weird we're just now getting properly introduced to these characters. This movie's got some weird pacing. Speaking of which, we cut right back to the North Pole where Barry does his best to impersonate Santa for the press. And of course, it does not go well.
Now give me a ho ho ho.
Ho, ho, ho.
Okay, maybe we'll just go with a smile and a wave.
Ho, ho, ho.
What are we going to do now?
Make presents for everyone?
Meanwhile, the Outback gang is still trying to convince Santa that he's Barry, and after seeing footage of Barry on TV, he begins to question his own sanity.
Oh, hold on.
You see, you look and sound nothing like the real Santa. Why, a person would have to be a real drongo to mix you two up.
That can't be Santa. I'm Santa Claus. least I thought I was.
Maybe you'd feel a little more like yourself if you started to act a little more like yourself.
I'm not saying that you're right, but I suppose it's worth a try. Now, what is it I like to do?
You like to make sandwiches. Tuna fish. No crusts.
There's something really funny to me about these Australian animals low-key gaslighting Santa Claus. I mean, it's so cynical and mean-spirited for a Christmas movie, but it's so funny. It's funny to see a character like Santa lose his grip on reality, and it's funny that these animals are too stupid to realize that it's not Barry.
Back at the North Pole, yeah, how many times have I said meanwhile or back at in this review? This movie cuts between the two settings very frequently, but in fairness, it does have a very short runtime. Anyway, Miss Holly Jolly brings Barry to the workshop to motivate the other elves to make presents for everyone.
What seems to be the trouble?
The trouble is, you've just promised presents for everyone on the day before Christmas, and why are you talking like that?
Why are you talking like that?
I'm an elf. I always talk this way.
Well then, I'd expect you, of all people, to be a little more sensitive to that sort of thing.
Nutmeg is like, you know those characters that the internet just goes crazy for? You know the ones I mean, right? The ones that pop up and the internet just goes absolutely nuts for like a week or two. Nutmeg absolutely has the potential to be one of those characters. She has the perfect combination of cynicism and earnestness. I just cannot overstate enough how charming and lovable a character she is. And I think if this movie were just a little popular, the internet would go crazy for her.
So Barry motivates the elves, who, remember, believe that he's Santa, and we get a pretty funny montage of Barry learning how to be Santa, and Santa trying his best to act like Barry.
I really like this scene. It's a pretty big Christmas trope to see like an everyman trying to fill the role as Santa Claus, but it's not as often you see Santa just trying to be some guy. It's pretty funny.
After learning some of the ropes of being Santa, Nutmeg has a plan.
The sleigh is almost fixed, so you just have to tell the other reindeer that I'll be leading the team this year. Then we fly you home, make the switch, and Santa forgives and forgets.
Dasher, the head reindeer, figures out right away that Barry isn't Santa, and uses this to his advantage. I didn't mention it before, but there's a minor plot point that the reindeer have to be on special diets shortly before Christmas, but Dasher has a craving for cookies and eggnog and manipulates Barry into letting him raid the kitchen.
He's a fake! Look, everyone! Fake Santa! Fake Santa!
Now, Nutmeg, we don't want to give Dasher here the impression that I am not who I say I am. Do we?
Well, no, but...
Then it's settled.
To the kitchen.
Meanwhile, Santa's had enough. He sets off to find a phone so he can call the North Pole.
Having some car trouble, Barry.
I told you. I'm not Barry. I'm not your maid, and I'm not your mother. I'm Father Christmas, and I've got a holiday to save.
Hey, Mrs. Claus, can I take your hat?
Mrs. Claus finds out about what Barry and Nutmeg have been up to, and with the reindeer filled up from cookies and eggnog, realizes only Nutmeg can fly the sleigh.
Unfortunately, this leaves us with only one option.
Santa makes his way to the pub with the nearest telephone and begins to lose his grip on reality once again when everyone starts making fun of him.
Pardon me, ma'am. My name is Santa Claus.
Oh, good one, Barry. In fact, you just won the prize for the worst Santa costume of the night.
You don't understand. I really am Santa Claus.
Oh, you're not Santa, I'm Santa.
But I was Santa Claus.
I'm Santa.
What is going on around here?
So I guess the town just has it out for Barry or something because Santa gets arrested.
Right this way, Barry. I mean, Santa.
But on the bright side, he gets to make his phone call.
Now listen carefully. Barry and Nutmeg are on their way to pick you up, so you'd better get back to Barry's house.
But how?
You're Santa Claus. Why don't you use some Christmas magic?
Christmas magic? Yes, of course. Thanks, Sugar Plum.
So Santa escapes with the power of Christmas magic, I guess. More on that later. But after getting lost in the outback, he comes across a friendly pilot named Warren, who's the same guy Nutmeg almost crashed into. That's pretty funny.
Tucker's ready.
What?
Now that's what I call 5-star bush tucker.
And he gives Santa a ride back to the North Pole.
Here we go! Ho, ho!
Back at Barry's home, the Outback gang are starving and manage to prepare their very own meal for the first time.
Voila! Oh, it's a masterpiece.
But the excitement is cut short when Nutmeg and Barry crash land into the house.
Hi, mate.
So the animals finally realize that who they thought was Barry was the real Santa all along.
Where is the real Santa? Oh no! We landed on Santa?
Not Santa. Sandwich! You crushed my sandwich!
Wait a minute. Are you telling me that you lot made your own sandwich? All by yourselves? This is the proudest day of my life. If you guys can do that, you can do anything. And I've got a crazy idea.
So they all dress up in fake antlers and Nutmeg explains Christmas magic to them.
Now let's see if I've got this straight. Reindeer can't naturally fly.
Correct. As I've explained, they fly with the help of Christmas magic.
Right. And this Christmas magic comes from...
From believing. Children all over the world believe in Christmas magic, and so it is.
But nobody actually believes that we can fly, right?
Which is why we have to believe in ourselves.
So this Christmas magic stuff is the weakest part of the movie by far. It works a lot like the Christmas spirit in Elf, but unlike that film where the rules for it are established very early on and come into play later in the film, this one just seems very phoned in here. Like, it just suddenly kind of comes out of nowhere. They don't mention it earlier.
And not to mention, if the Christmas magic is what lets the reindeer fly, then why do they need to be on a special diet before Christmas? No time to dwell on that, though. The cop from earlier has tracked down Barry and asks him to pull over. But as we saw earlier, his brakes don't work.
Nutmeg, I can't stop. We're heading straight for the ravine.
Don't worry, Barry. We've come too far, and we're not going down like that. Nutmeg Reindeer is ready to fly.
All right, mates. If we can't get it together right now, there's not going to be any Christmas. And that, well, that's not going to happen. Now, Lily. Now, Simon.
Nigel and Walter,
You gotta believe.
this is no time to falter.
The hot outback sun.
Through the cold Arctic snow, now dash away all.
And look out below!
Against all odds, the team manages to get off the ground and deliver the presents all over the world, getting back just in time. It's a Christmas miracle.
Actually, I'm a platypus.
Unfortunately, the press doesn't buy the charade any longer.
Gracious me, a charlatan!
We're all a bunch of phonies. Those aren't real.
But just as their cover seems to be blown, Santa parachutes in to save the day.
Oh dear. And who might you be?
Who am I? Who am I? Why, I'm...
G'day, mates. Barry Buckley's the name, and Santa here's invited me and my friends to make a very special announcement.
What are you doing, mate? I'm not Santa.
Maybe not, Barry, but it looks to me like you really delivered.
It's pretty cool to see these two finally meet face to face at the end, because even though they've not once spoken to each other throughout the whole movie, it really does feel like they've developed a genuine connection and walking in each other's shoes.
Now, as I was saying, in 1 week today, Santa Claus will be my very special guest for the grand opening of
Barry Buckley's Down Under Winter Wonderland. It's Christmas time.
So that was A Very, Very Christmas.
It's a pretty flawed movie, with rushed pacing, some cheap animation here and there, but my god is it charming. It's all about polar opposites, if you'll pardon the pun. The Arctic, the Outback, the earnest, the cynical, all coming together to save Christmas. And strange as it is, the marriage of stop motion and digital animation actually lends itself really well to the contrasting nature of this film. And despite the short runtime, they do manage to cram a lot of story and humor in there. There's a lot of really funny moments I did not include in this review because I didn't want to spoil them. I remember being surprised watching this movie again years later, realizing how short it was. It felt much longer to me as a kid. And honestly, I kind of do wish it were longer. There are a lot of plot points that don't really feel fully fleshed out, and it always leaves me wanting more. But it's better to be left wanting more than less.
Speaking of which, I own the film on DVD, and the back of the box is labeled with A Very, Very Adventure, which to me says they had plans for future films featuring this character. But I don't think it went anywhere, unfortunately. Now me, I want a spin-off about Nutmeg. Probably not gonna happen.
The DVD also has some pretty cool bonus features showing off some of the sculpting and animation process. It's pretty cool, and it really does make you appreciate just how much work goes into these kind of movies, even a lower budget one. But I wish there were some actual interviews with the cast and crew.
And I just want to give props to Jacqueline Pion as well, I hope I'm saying her name right, as the voice of Nutmeg. She did a phenomenal job, it's the best performance, she stole the show. Other work you might know her from, she played Matt on Cyber Chase. So that's pretty cool.
One last thing I want to mention is the music in this movie actually really slaps.
Funny. It seems so funny. It was just yesterday I was nobody.
Big finish.
So if you're looking for a new special to check out around Christmas time, I cannot recommend this movie highly enough. I think the DVD is pretty hard to find now, but it is actually available for free currently on Amazon Prime Video and Vudu. I will put links in the description. And seriously, go check it out. It's only 45 minutes long. You have no reason not to watch it.
From snow and ice to sand and sun, a very Merry Christmas to everyone!
Well, thank you guys for checking out my review. We have the next Fictron episode planned, by the way. We're going to record it probably sometime in January, and it's going to be fun. So yeah, look forward to that, and I'll see you next time. Ooh.